Starting in May 2025, a Roblox game called Old Soggy Breakfast Place was recommended to thousands of users. It was only made this year, hadn't been updated since the day it was created, and yet it has almost 50,000 visits. The place itself is incredibly bare bones, almost as if it were built years ago. No music, no GUI, just a team-based paintball game built almost entirely out of free models. One shack, some vegetation made out of old hat meshes, and a structure in the middle of the map with pieces that cycle through different colors. Aimlessly, a group of colorful NPCs with mostly unintelligible names stumble around the map while spouting different pieces of dialogue. At times, they read like system messages about the Roblox game being monitored to collect data about players, even pivoting to the out-of-place "please remain calm" and "please don't leave this game soon." One, called Fergumentus, spits out Latin phrases. Others spit out messages like "lol," "fun," and "I am forever king" at random, almost as if they're trying to imitate what a player would say and falling short. Most of the rest tend to read garbled, encoded nonsense that I haven't been able to get anything out of, as their dialogue boxes get cut off due to Roblox's lack of upkeep for the archaic feature at its base. The cryptic and sometimes ominous messages here led me to believe there's some sort of underlying message or meaning to this game. To me, it's like a clashing display of the nostalgic yet decaying games of early Roblox, alongside NPCs alluding to the sketchy practices of businesses like Roblox. Clearly, this is some sort of myth-style creative project, but it's still unclear to me how and why the game recommendation algorithm picked up this nearly blank game and recommended it to so many people, especially new users. In a similar vein, a friend of mine recently noticed a spike in active players on a very old puzzle game called In the Dead of Autumn by Lando64000. This completely dead game had spiked from 49,000 total plays in its 15 years of being on Roblox to well over 1.5 million visits in 3 whole months. This was a place I was already very familiar with. It's a pretty nice showcase for the time, and I'd even used a screenshot of it for a seasonal YouTube banner a couple years ago. Upon joining to see what all the hype was about, I noticed a trend. Upwards of 5 to 10 players, all of which having customized avatars, accounts, and sometimes even premium, would join, stand still, or walk around for under a minute before leaving without saying a word in chat. On a few separate occasions, I sent chat messages asking how people had discovered this game, but I almost never got a response, and if I did, they were on the same level of confusion as I was. I very soon realized these were all bots or random kids being funneled in through some sort of scam. While I was investigating, I noticed that around half of the players I ran into had this specific badge with a picture of a cat on their account. This badge came from an untitled game with 7 million visits that, when joined, brings you back to In the Dead of Autumn. The recommended tab featured similarly obsolete games from long since done sponsored Roblox events, each of which having similarly confused players. I actually got an answer from one of them in a KSI album launch game that said they were brought there because they were trying to get a free skin in a Roblox game, and they said point blank that they got scammed. They left shortly after and couldn't tell me anymore. For quite a few years now, there have been spam games with misleading titles meant to redirect you to some sort of scam or botted game, usually made in mass to flood search results for popular game titles. Tweets from May of this year show that this specific untitled game used to be one of those, and in August, it was seemingly replaced with a warp to In the Dead of Autumn, an otherwise dead puzzle game from a completely different era of the platform that does not match the current Roblox style or audience. Lando has absolutely no involvement with this, of course, but I'm still baffled as to why this game was chosen for all the scam victims and bots to be funneled to. Some viewers may already know that the earliest place on Roblox, judging solely based on the game's ID and the link, is a testing place by the late co-founder Erik Cassel. The game currently inside that place slot is called Experimental Jetpack, and it was initially created on the 30th of September 2006. Nobody was programming anything close to this level yet. This place slot would be used on and off for testing until 2012, although in October 2006, something would be added that would catch my eye each time I investigated the place. This brick has a texture, and you'll never be able to see it. This really should show something, but the link leads to Okay, for reference, decal links in games are supposed to look like this. The weird data link itself returns a 404, though by looking at the surrounding IDs, we can tell when it was uploaded. Back then, users had to directly upload their textures into their game's file, but this was messy, hard to moderate, costly for Roblox servers, and was replaced by the site-hosted Decal marketplace in 2008. Considering that was 2 years later, this was likely Erik's first attempt at grabbing textures from the website. Glitchy didn't care, he used to just put the textures for his games inside the version of Roblox everyone downloaded, so this data link was just an early version of the modern day Asset ID format. Mystery done, right? Well, we still don't know what this decal is. It doesn't exist anymore, and back when it did, it never rendered properly in game thumbnails. My first idea was to look for its usage in other games, because they'd give us context clues, I hope. A ton of people took Erik's jetpack model, so maybe some took the picture too? I scanned my giant place file archive for instances of the texture and found very few. One user put it in a mall build. Surely enough, it's right here, but this doesn't tell us anything new using context clues. The part has no name, and none of the other items on sale have any correlation to each other. Bald eagles, the Linux tux, Batman? So maybe American-centric nerd shit? I don't even know what's being sold here. By far, the most notable use of the image was R92's Roblox Museum from March 2007. That game was a big hit among the community as it was made to commemorate admins, contest winners, and well-known developers. Erik Cassel had an exhibit featuring pieces of his jetpack place, including the mystery picture. Now my new plan was to find screenshots and recordings of the museum featuring the image. This game got tons of traffic after it was featured on one of 2 travelogues on the Roblox blog, showcasing interesting player creations before the blog devolved into exclusively press releases about child safety. The other one was Waffle Boy's obstacle course. Guess Roblox will forever be 70% obbies now. Oops. The third screenshot in the travelogue shows Glitchy on the conveyor belt taking you to each exhibit, but relative to each room, he's just out of reach from Erik's area. We get to see a whopping 18 by 34 pixels of just the wall though. My last resort was to scour YouTube for possible museum footage, though the only video I knew was made by Glitchy in June 2007. His video definitely showed the decal, though not only was it deleted alongside tons of other videos, but Glitchy himself doesn't have it, leaving nothing but a cached thumbnail, and it's not even at the museum! The only other possible video is from late 2008, likely after the decal broke. Even if it still worked, the kid filming walks into the corridor of player exhibits and just turns around. Why? The only lead I haven't mentioned until now is a model posted by user Ganon Rules, just a week after the picture was uploaded, titled Sunset. Yes, that's the same brick. Because of the title, I had a theory this decal was just the sunset sample photo bundled with Windows XP, as it's a nice stock photo that a majority of computer users had access to. This isn't confirmed, and we're not even sure if it's a sunset. This dude could have lied for all we know, though even if it was the exact sunset picture I'm thinking of, why did people put it on store shelves? Around 2008 and 2009, Roblox had many issues with their avatar rendering system. This was back when tons of new categories of accessories were just being added, like shirts, pants, heads, and faces. I would have talked about the examples we have here today in a larger video about buggy Roblox avatars, but they're genuinely astonishing. I don't have any clue what could have caused some of these. Some examples include Brandonscape's yellow flagpole-shaped avatar, undecipherable polygonal nonsense. On December 24th, 2008, user Kelitho turned into a triangle. This is the highest resolution screenshot of this incident that we have. Invisible limbs. There were tons of ways for people at the time to get fully invisible limbs or have portions of their avatar render cut out entirely. Later on, people started using this to their advantage to make creative avatars, some of which you can even see in the online social hangout trailer from 2009. The only thing I can say about the cause of these issues is that after one person equipped this exact assortment of items and customization options, the exact glitched avatar render image they had was likely applied to the other people's profiles, as that exact render link would be reused across both pages. We know that's at least how one bug I've talked about before worked, as people started passing around the exact directions and set of items required to equip this glitched avatar from September 2008.